right, man. And Bert, I still want to hear some more from you. But Bernard, if you're still with us, what was your kind of background? You grew up in Atlanta. Did you have some of these issues that not feeling the same kind with education? And then you also had somebody, and your other half is of a different culture. So I was wondering how that has played into your own growth and everything.
No. My other half, my wife is
no, I'm talking to Bernard. I'm sorry.
No. Don't put me there, bro. My wife will kill me if she think I'm married of another culture. I'm married a sister. Actually, I'm gonna tell you the truth, Mark. I've been married 3 times to 3 black women. I didn't learn the first time. I didn't learn the second. I learned the third about how to deal with married in my current marriage. I've been married almost 20 years, so it's really been cool. I actually grew up in the inner city of Baltimore. I grew up at a time when community was important. I grew up in the 60s. I was born in 1954. I grew up in the 60s, in the 70s, when there was a force around blackness. We were proud of blackness, and we, and actually, I was all up into, thinking that, I was going to be one of those black men who would be, a leader, and would be within that leadership framework. But I ended up working in sales. I worked for a publishing company. And you know what I sold for 40 years? I sold textbooks.
Wow.
I sold textbooks to public and private schools. I sold reading programs, for quite a number of years, and that's where I learned, because I learned how to deal with people who were specialists in literacy, even though I never taught in a classroom before. Most of the people who are in that business are former teachers. I never taught, so I had to learn not only the methodology of education, but I also had to learn the methodology of how to discuss it with professional educators. And I ended up actually being the number 1 salesperson in my company for a number of years. As a matter of fact, the territory that I was given, which was Washington, D.C., and around the Washington metro area. When I first got the territory in 1991, the territory had only been doing about $159,000 in business for this company. They sort of gave it to the black guy. Give it to this black guy. If it don't work, then we can get rid of him. Well, in 3.5 years, I built that territory to $15.6 million. So, so I mean, and in that time, that territory is still productive, even though the company that I worked for pushed me out when I got injured on the job. So because of my age and because I was making so much, salary. So I ended up becoming that black man who had to start over again. I couldn't do it because I couldn't do the same things that I used to do because of my disability. But I said to myself, what can I do to help my community? And what I did was I decided to do the blog, which is the knowledge, and then do the read aloud, which was the goal of creating the universal black literacy goal. Because I believe that literacy is a national civil right? If a person can't read, if a person can't read, do they really have rights?
That's true.
I mean,
you don't even know what your rights are.
If you can't read the Constitution, right, do you really have any rights? And so my thing is, I want to attack that. I want to attack that. So I've been doing that for 3 years. Over the course of the last 3 years, I've read over 100 books, online, cover to cover. Currently, I'm reading the Riot and Remembrance, the race war of Tulsa, Oklahoma, the Greenwood incident. I'm reading that book. It was written by James Hurst. I started it on Sunday. I've read so many different books. I've read The New Negro. about Alan Locke. I've read Malcolm X's autobiography. I've read Elijah Muhammad's book. I've read so many different books on my program that not only am I gaining knowledge of books that I've read earlier in my life, but now I'm reading those books again, and I'm actually at a different stage of my life, and I'm more intelligent than I've ever been in my life. So What I want to do next, Mark, is I want to take my program to a black college. Right? I'm getting ready to move back into Baltimore. Currently, I live in the suburbs of Washington. I want to move back into Baltimore because, Baltimore's got some serious problems. I grew up in this city, but they need me. So I want to I want to talk to the president of Morgan State University, and I want to say, Mr. President, I would like to do my program in your library, and I would like to also train some of your students to do it with me, so that we can attack this issue of literacy and attack this issue of the absence of knowledge that's in our community. Yesterday, the mayor of Baltimore City, I think it was yesterday or Saturday one, he said that what he wanted to do was put a boxing ring in the arena down in Baltimore City and have the kids fight rather than shoot each other. That is not realistic. But I tell you what is realistic. If we can get those children to be strategic readers and thinkers, and they can make those decisions consciously that right now they're making without any knowledge, any information. And that's my drive. I love what I do, brother. I ain't got no money. I don't have any money. I don't use the word ain't. I can't use the word ain't. I don't have any money anymore. But one thing I do have, Mark, that can't be taken away from me is my brain power and my will power and my hope to power and my want to power to change the system as we see it right now. Change that educational system. Change it from a failing system for black children and black adults to a profitable system where when kids walk out of the 8th grade, they're not reading 3 and 4 grade levels below. 50% of the adults in this country cannot read a book at an 8th grade level. 50%. 45 million Americans are functionally illiterate and read below a 5th grade level. 44% of American adults do not read a single book in a year. 6 out of 10 households do not buy a single book in a year. 3 out of 4 people that are on government assistance can't read. 20% of the Americans read below the level needed to earn a living wage. Jobs that used to be available. I was reading an article in LinkedIn. Jobs like a clerk, a registered clerk. There are 800,000 registered clerks in the country right now. In 5 years, guess how many registered clerks will be employed in this country? 0. That means 800,000 people will be out of a job. What are they going to do? We are doing so. It's some major changes going on in this country, and if we as black people don't truly understand it, we are always going to be caught behind that rock, that barrier that says you can't make it. And now they've changed the dynamics, so now the blacks are not even the prominent minority anymore. It's so many things going on that between 46 and 51% of American adults have an income well below the poverty level because of their inability to read. We can't continue to do that because with technology, you've got to be able to read. You can't get by without being able to read and comprehend and be strategic and be able to cooperate in a group or be able to work across the borders. So that's my thing, Mark. I'm excited. I was listening to what y'all were talking about earlier about the music, and I was saying, damn, I wish I'd have learned how to play an instrument, so I could jump in there and play my sax, But what I learned how to do was read. And I thank my first grade teacher, Mrs. Smith, who taught me in 1960 how to read. She didn't let me leave the first grade without being able to be on my road to literacy. And by the time I was went through the junior high school period, I really read a lot. And then in high school, I sort of started getting into other things, and reading wasn't important. And then when I got to college, it was like, whoa, I'm not ready for this. The books, the terms, I was lost, but I got myself back on track, and I changed my world. I changed my world by being able to be around literate, strategic people, and I want to be able to do the same thing for other people. And it's just not children; it's adults too. It's young adults. Young adults are sitting in prison cells and can't read a book. Young adults who come out of prison, they can't read. They can't read an application now. And now the applications don't exist on paper. Everything's on the internet or online, and they don't have that access to that technology. So I'm just right here in my office, and I'm just thinking every day, brother, about how I can change things. I really would like to stress and expand my program. I think that because I've always been successful, I'm going to make my blog the most successful blog that was ever created by a black man. That's my goal, right? It might not happen in my lifetime, but 10 years after I'm gone, somebody going to catch on to my blog and say, dang, this brother was absolutely incredibly an incredible intellectual. I want to be on that same level as Stokely and on that same level. I want to be on that level.
Joe, Joe, I've got to interrupt you. I think I got one other caller that's coming in, and I need to give them some time as well. But I can definitely understand about the reading and everything. I've actually got a good friend that does a reading party, with what she calls it, and they do that usually at Hayti. But the last couple of weeks, because of schedule conflicts, the last couple of months, they've done it at other libraries as well. But it's basically just people that come into the Hayti, and they read sometimes original works. Sometimes one gentleman comes up, he might just read a newspaper or just like first, like, did you know the first such and such was such and such that he found out through the internet and everything. So he does that on a regular basis. So if you want to just hold on and still listen, but I do need to bring in the other caller as well.
Mark, just real quick before you let me go.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick.
I just want to say real quick, Mark. Mark?
Yeah.
Just real quick. I just want to say, have your listeners join me on Facebook Live between 5 and 7 on my page, Joseph Shelton Hall, and they can join in on my Read Aloud Hour, and they can go to my blog at joesmokethoughts.com and check it out, because every day I've added a new post. So
appreciate you,
brother. God bless you. And if you have another program based around education, give me a call.
I will.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing, but not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. This breaks my heart, and it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste and gives it to families in need. To help, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
All right, Mr. Beasley, welcome to Straight Talk with Dean and Mark, sir. You are on the line.
How you doing? Derek, I'm glad. Doing good. I'm glad you were able to give me a call. We got about 15 minutes to go, but I know you can talk at that time and share people of what you got going on. Derek is actually involved with a lot of what we've got going on with the new Black Wall Street here in the area. We've got, like I said, we had Benard on earlier. I don't know if he's still on the line, but we had him on, and he was talking about some of the things he's been doing around LoanWell